Benvingudes de nou, un dia més, benvinguts, bienvenides, bienvenidos, welcome.
Welcome, everyone. Once again, I'm here just to remind you once again about the simultaneous interpretation. Today, we will have both English and Spanish as working languages. So remember that if you are using the computer, at the bottom of the screen, you'll find the icon of a globe, and that's where you'll find the function to select the language you would like to listen to. You can decide that you want to listen to the conference in English or in Spanish. I'm going to say this in English for those of you who are not connected still.
To remind the translation system for those who couldn't join us yesterday, we'd like to inform you that today's intervention will be in Spanish and English with simultaneous translation into live English or Spanish in each case. To activate the translation, you should look for the translation icon with a globe icon in the Zoom options and select a language that you might to hear. As soon as you activate this option, you will only listen to the translator until you switch it off again. We give you a few moments just to activate it, and we'll start with the presentation and the technical options. I hope everything works correctly. If you have any problem, you can also access to the 00 incidencias chat to solve any inconvenience. Thank you. And ahora vuelvo al español. Gracias a todas.
Okay, let me go back to Spanish again. Let me remind you how this session will develop. Please stay muted at all times unless you are intervening. You can ask your questions via chat box, and they will be conveyed to the speakers at the end of the session. So the different companies will get to answer the different questions. Any incidents, any problem, any difficulty, there is a 00 incidents participant in the chat box. You can use that, or you can send an email to nowivanov@gmail.com. Please rename yourselves if you haven't done so already. So just give us your real name, if at all possible, and the name of your company, the company that you represent. And for the translation, please stick to one language. If you want to choose English, just stay there, stay tuned. And if the original on the floor is suddenly English, you will get the sound as well. So don't switch around, don't play around with the buttons and the functions, because sometimes Zoom can give problems if you keep playing around with the different options. So please please refrain from it. And just by way of information, remember that this session will be recorded. Thank you. Let's kick off.
This is Clara Peya. She's a pianist and composer. She has a very solid career as a musician. When she plays the piano, she's able to move souls of people who are listening to her. This is me, Ariadna Peya. I'm a choreographer and dancer, passionate about movement and creation. My work is closely linked to music and to component of onstage languages. Together, we are Las Impossibles, sisters, creators, and performers. We have a very deep bond that unites us, personally and artistically. On the merge of languages, a search that fuses music and movement with other disciplines. That was our path to the construction of our own language. It's also the reason why we continue betting on cooperation and alliances between creators and universes to discover new forms of creation and to take our work farther. The social commitment has made us grow in the need to use art as a speaker of denunciation and social change. In the last years, we started exploring the path to accessibility in the performing arts, a utopia that we would love to make it happen. Now, we prepare a new production in collaboration with Festival Grec and Temporada Alta. In FAM, we will talk about the body and the relationship we have with them. We will compare bodies, mostly the women's, with colonized territories, and we will understand the potential they have as a revolutionary tool if we reappropriate them. FAM means hunger. We will put our bodies together to celebrate they are hungry.
Buenas tardes y muy buenas.
Good evening, good morning for many of you. This is the third day of the Grec Pro sessions. It's our third day, and in the previous two sessions we presented networks and different connections, different links and bonds and different scenes about performing arts, especially in Latin America, although also around the globe. Today this is going to be slightly different. Information, debate focusing on Brazil in particular and the cultural scene in Brazil. Maybe for some of you this is a remote issue, but it's much closer than we might think, and it really will resonate with most of you. You'll see this is under the umbrella of Grec and Grec Pro, especially in relation to what Antic Teatre has done with their anti-fascist sessions that they've been organizing recently with the workshops, the roundtables and conferences. The link will be typed into the chat box, and you will be able to download and have a look at the different sessions that have been broadcast recently. Without any further ado, I would like to hand over to Isabel Ferreira, who will moderate this panel discussion. Thank you. Enjoy the session.
Gracias, Salvador.
Hello, thank you, Salvador. My name is Isabel Ferreira, and it is a pleasure to introduce this project, Kidnapped Brazil, as we have named it, under the umbrella of the Grec Pro Festival. So I would like to thank the team, the organizers, the translators as well. So just let me say that Eduardo Bonito and myself will be sharing this presentation as curators of the projects ourselves, and then we'll hand over to Alicia Ripoll and Ricardo that have been part of the project, Ricardo Marinelli. Then we'll also give the floor to Semolina Tomic from Antic Teatre, the producers of this project, Kidnapped Brazil. So it's the kidnapping of dreams, that is the title. Then we'll go dig deeper into this aspect. But first, let's hear more about the anti-fascist sessions, because that's the whole framework that gives rise to this
Hola,
session.
buenos días.
Hello,
hablo en español, ¿no?
hello. Can I speak in Spanish? Yes, of course. You may.
Muy breve.
Very
lo
briefly,
más importante para nosotros era el por qué
for us, it was
nosotros
very
organizamos
important
las jornadas
to,
antifascistas en
be
el
clear as
marco
to
del
the
Grec
why
Festival de
this
Barcelona. Y
anti-fascist
es porque,
seminar under the
como nosotros
framework, under
somos
the
uno de
umbrella
los
of the Grec
teatros,
Festival in Barcelona. We
digamos,
are
muy
one of the
políticos, muy
theaters that's
sociales,
highly
uno de los
politicized,
teatros
very
más
social
radicales. La lucha
commitments
política y en
based
el
kind of
contexto
theater,
actual, lo
so
que
the
está
political fight and
pasando
against the
en
current backdrop and what's
el
going on,
mundo,
of course, you know,
pues para nosotros era
in
muy
the whole world. For
importante
us, it was
cuando
very important
empezábamos a hablar con
indeed
Cesc
to
Casadesús, el
touch
director del
upon
Grec
those aspects.
Festival, y
We
estuvimos
contacted
hablando
Cesc
que los teatros
Casadesús,
tendrán
the
una relación
festival's
con
director, and we
da un
discussed
teatro
the
con un país de
relation between the
Latinoamérica,
theaters
y como
and the
nosotros
link with Latin American
trabajamos y nuestro artista
venues.
residente
Well, we have
está
resident
también estrenando en el
artists
Grec
that
Festival
are
su tercera
premiering
parte de
in the
trilogía
Grec
sobre
Festival,
Brasil y
first
Amazona.
part on
Es
on the
en
Amazon
momento
and Brazil. That's one of the pieces
pensé
that will
que era
open
muy
in the
importante
festival,
poner foco
in the
a la
Grec
lucha,
Festival
lo que está
context.
pasando en
So
este
we thought
momento en
that
Brasil
it would be
antifascista, porque
timely to
cuando
mention
al
what
gobierno
is going on
entra
in
el
Brazil in terms of
Bolsonaro y todo lo
anti-fascism.
que
Of course, we have
significa esta
Bolsonaro
entrada
in
de este
power, and
personaje a la
we
escena
wanted to
política de
say what
Brasil y todo
this
lo que está
meant, the
pasando
fact that this
política,
man
social y
is in
económicamente en
power
Brasil.
and the
Nosotros
changes
era
and the
muy
impact
importante poner
politically
foco
speaking in
y
Brazil, socially
que esta
speaking. So we wanted
programación del
to put this
Antic
in
Teatre
the
dentro del Grec
spotlight. So
Festival
we wanted
tenga
to
una
program
utilidad
this
muy
in the
política
framework
para por
of
lo
the
menos
Grec
trabajar en
Festival,
la
so that we
voz
are
contra
political
este
as well,
personaje
and
y
we
en
can
contra
raise our
antifascismo en
voices
global,
against this
porque aparte
person or this
del
persona
Brasil
rather,
secuestrado, el programa
and
que hemos
that's
hecho
why the
con la
title is
Eduardo y la
Kidnapped
Isabel,
Brazil. Kidnapped
tenemos nuestro
Brazil, a
proyecto artístico
program devised
comunitario, que es
together
uno de
with
los proyectos más
Ricardo and
importantes, que
Isabel.
trabajamos en
Very,
territorio
very
local donde
important project
estamos en Antic
indeed,
Teatre, nuestras
locally
vecinas,
based,
que
with
año pasado
Antic
han realizado
Teatre
un
as the
espectáculo
producer.
souvenir
Last
sobre
year we
toda la
conducted
memoria
a
antifranquista.
piece,
Este
souvenir
año
about the
seguimos esta línea y estamos
anti-Francoist memory.
preparando el
So along the
documental
same
sobre
vein, we
estas
are preparing
memorias.
a
Entonces, en
documentary based
conjunto
on the
entre la
piece last year.
lucha
So it's a
antifascista y
combination,
antirracista actual,
anti-fascism,
porque todo esto hemos
and
pensado hace un
we
año,
thought
pero
about this
veis
a
como
year
la
ago,
actualidad
only a year
está
ago, but of
superando
course the
con esta
reality is
pandemia,
so
con
fast,
todo el
everything
Black
is
Lives
evolving
Matter
so
movement
quickly with
y todo lo que está pasando actualmente en el
the
mundo.
Black Lives
Esto, lo que
Matter
nosotros hemos
movement and the
pensado hace un año,
pandemic, and
hoy
you
en día
name
tiene un
it. So
sentido
this
brutal
all
para
makes
nosotros
sense.
y el
It all
enfoque que
makes
estamos dando a
brutal
esto.
sense now more
Bueno,
than ever.
si alguien quiere
Anyway,
preguntar algo
if
más,
you ask
pero yo
questions
prefiero
later
dar
on,
la voz
maybe you
a
can do it, but
Eduardo,
I'd
Isabel y
rather hand
artistas de
over
Brasil y
to
que usen el
Eduardo,
tiempo para
Isabel, and
poder
Brazilian
presentarse.
artists so that we have the
Gracias.
time to listen to them. Thank you.
Gracias,
That was my
Semo.
introduction. Thank you, Semo.
Y nada, pues
Thank you
comienzo
very
a
much.
contaros
So, okay. Let me start
qué es Brasil
myself.
Secuestrado,
What is this project
que
about?
es un
What is
programa
Kidnapped
de conferencias
Brazil?
performáticas y
It's a
cineforum, que como
performative
hemos dicho, ha
conference
dicho Semolina, nace de una
program. As
invitación
Semolina said, this
de
was
Antic
born out
Teatre
of an
y
invitation
Grec
coming
para
from
realizar un
Antic
programa
Teatre and the
sobre
Grec
Brasil,
Festival
y
to
también
devote
nace
a
de
whole
nuestro
program
deseo de
to
que ese
Brazil,
programa
and we
sirviese para
wanted
dar
for this
visibilidad
program
a la
to
grave
make
crisis democrática que está
the
viviendo el
democratic crisis
país
in
en
Brazil
estos
really,
momentos y
really
que está
visible, because
afectando
it's very, very
especialmente
severe in
y
Brazil right now.
dramáticamente al
It's
universo de las
dramatically
artes y del
affecting
pensamiento
the
contemporáneo.
performing arts scene and
Brasil
contemporary
Secuestrado está teniendo
thinking
ahora,
scene.
está teniendo lugar ahora
Terrible
durante los
consequences.
los 3 primeros fines de semana de julio,
The
y se
3
puede seguir a
first
través de la web y
weekends
de las
of
redes sociales
July, we
del
will
Teatro
be
Antic.
offering those
Y en relación al
conferences, and you can
formato,
follow them
contaros
on the
que
social
a causa
network
del
of the Grec
coronavirus,
program, and so Antic Teatre, social network
las obras han
addresses.
cogido un formato de
The
vídeo
pieces
y de video
are now,
performance.
well,
Son
video
obras que duran en
pieces and
torno a unos
video
20 minutos
performative
y que son
pieces.
seguidas
They're
de una mesa redonda.
20-minute long
Pero
pieces
antes de
followed by
hablaros
a
más
round tables
en
because of the
profundidad de las
situation. We
obras
had to
que
adapt
hemos
to the
seleccionado
digital
para Brasil
context. So
Secuestrado
we've
y las
picked
obras que se
a
han
few
producido
pieces
expresamente para Brasil
for
Secuestrado, quería
this
introduciros un
program,
poquito
Kidnapped Brazil.
de manera muy breve el
And very
contexto,
briefly,
¿no?
I would
que
like
vive ahora
to set
Brasil.
the context
Que
to
bueno,
begin
como
with, so
todos y
that
todas
we're
ya
all clear
sabéis,
as to what's going
imagino
on
en
in Brazil. Of course,
2018
you know
el
this,
gobierno
but
de
in
Brasil
2018, the
queda en manos de
Brazilian
los
government was
Bolsonaro,
in hands
que
of
es una
the
familia que venía
Bolsonaros, a
operando desde
family
finales
that
de
had
los
been
90
operating since the end of
como
the
brazo político de
90s
la
as the
milicia
political
de Río de
arm of
Janeiro.
the Rio de Janeiro
Bueno, ¿qué
militia.
es la milicia? ¿no? La
Actually, it's
mafia es la
the
mafia
militia,
parapolicial,
it's
es la
the
mafia paramilitar,
police,
controla por la fuerza de las
paramilitary
armas grandes
mafia
territorios del
that, by
Estado
the rule of the
y
arms and weapons,
por, bueno,
controls
esta
the
familia
government and the
de
country.
milicianos
So
acabó
it's
canalizando
militia
en
members'
Brasil el movimiento
family, and they
antipolítica
channeled the
importado de la derecha alternativa, de la
anti-movement
alt-right
that
americana,
came from the alt-right
ayudados por
movement
parte de
from
los militares,
America, and they were
por
helped by
empresarios que
the
apostaban por la
military,
desregulación
also
del mercado
employers that
y la
wanted
iglesia
the
evangélica más
deregulation of the market,
fundamentalista.
and the most
Ahí,
fundamentalist
gracias a una
evangelic
campaña
church. And
fuertísima
thanks
de
to a
fake news, de la que
strong
habréis oído
campaign,
hablar,
fake news
y
campaign,
también
clearly
por
you've
parte
heard
de un
about it, and
rechazo de parte
also
de la
because there
población
was the
que no
rejection coming
quería
from
que
most part of the
hubiese un quinto
population, because of
mandato
course they
del
didn't
PP.
want to have
Pues en Brasil
them in power for a fifth
se hizo
time.
posible
Well,
lo que parecía imposible,
that's why what
que
seemed
es la llegada al
impossible
gobierno de una
became
familia
possible.
de
The fact that a
criminales
family
con
made
serios
up made
problemas
up of criminals
cognitivos
came
y con un
into
proyecto
power
muy
with
claro
a project,
de poder
political
de
project
perfil
that's
fascista.
clearly fascist
Bueno,
in
sabemos
definition, by
que
definition,
tenemos
and
que tener
in
cuidado con
concept
el
and in
uso y con
shape
el
and
abuso de ciertas
form. So
palabras
we
muy
need to be careful,
connotadas,
of
como es la
course,
palabra fascismo,
about the use of
pero yo
words and
creo
terminology,
que
and the
podemos
fact that
decir
we
sin
are
miedo a
saying
equivocarnos
fascist and fascism,
que hoy
but
en día
actually, no doubt,
Brasil tiene un
in
gobierno
Brazil,
con un perfil
we are allowed to say
neofascista
so because
bastante
it's
explícito. Y
neo-fascist,
también
and it's
podemos
quite
decir que la
explicit,
alianza de
the
este
way they
fascismo
act, and the alliance with
contemporáneo
this contemporary
con el
fascism,
liberalismo
with
salvaje,
the savage,
pues está
brutal
teniendo
liberalism,
consecuencias
is
de destrucción
yielding
acelerada de las
terrible
instituciones y de
consequences,
las políticas
destruction of
públicas
institutions,
que tardaron
destruction of
muchos
public
años, muchas
policies that
décadas
took
en ser
decades
construidas.
and decades to be
Y, en
built and to
definitiva,
be
está
and
teniendo como
become what they
consecuencia el
were. So
secuestro
as a
del futuro
consequence, the
de todo un
future
país.
of a whole country is
Y bueno,
kidnapped.
os voy a
So
dejar ahora a
hence
Edu
the
que
title of
siga
our project. Let
hablando un
me
poquito
hand over
también, ya
to
más en concreto
Edu
de las
now,
obras.
so that he can refer in detail to the pieces that we chose for our program. Thank you, Isa. My name is Eduardo. Good morning for some of you in Latin America. Good evening, otherwise in Europe. Let's see where my notes are. Here they are. So in order to talk about this kidnapping of futures and dreams, by the end of 2019, we invited artists living in Brazil to tell us firsthand their reading about the situation and what they could draw as a conclusion. We've had, as a result, 3 performative conferences by Ricardo Marinelli, by Alice Ripoll, and a video creation that we'll refer to later on, together with a series of short pieces by Brazilian producers Renata Martins, Lucy Miraculi, among others, plus laboratory of production and realization of pandemic dreams. We will talk about this later on. Don't worry if you don't remember their names. This is all what we call the Kidnapped Brazil, and under the umbrella of the Fascist Sessions seminar series programmed by Antic Teatre. You can check on their website, and all the presentations, all the conferences will be there and will be downloadable or checkable until the end of the whole program. For those of you who are English language native speakers, I'm going to share my screen now. If I manage to do so, here goes. For you to see where to find this in the Antic Teatre website. So you log on to Antic Teatre, and here you switch, you select English as your language, then you click on Anti-Fascist Conference, the cycle of conferences, and once you're in there, here you see, for instance, one by Princesa Ricardo Marinelli. So if you click here, this redirects you to the YouTube video, okay? And that's the way you'll access the link that will enable you to watch it. I don't know what the computer's doing, Eduardo says. Going crazy here.
Quizá luego, Eduardo, igual lo dejas preparado, ¿no?
Maybe
Ya
you
se ha
can
visto
just
dónde es.
prepare it. Well, I really don't know what happened, but actually, once you're in YouTube, there is a link underneath that will redirect you. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Video creation with English subtitles. Okay, that is your link for English speakers. If you want to listen to Ricardo's presentation in English, you will be able to watch it by clicking on that link, and we will leave it uploaded until the end of the whole conference cycle. Okay, where was I? Let me show you just a few excerpts, fragments of the pieces that have been selected, and actually some have been designed specially for this cycle of conferences. Let's start with video number 1, David. If you are so kind, display it.
Como se não fosse nada, como se não fosse nada, como se não fosse nada. O nosso presidente tira sarro do coronavírus. Diz que é uma gripezinha à toa. E que nós devíamos enfrentar o vírus como machos, enfrentar como machos. Ele falou isso na TV, que nós devemos enfrentar o vírus como machos. Como se não fosse nada. Eu vivo num país sitiado, num país sequestrado, num país em cativeiro. Num país sequestrado pelas grandes corporações, por empresários cara de pau que têm a coragem de ir na mídia dizer que se vão ser só alguns milhares de pessoas que vão morrer, tem que abrir o shopping. Sitiado por canalhas da igreja evangélica que com o seu dinheiro e com as suas mentiras controlam boa parte da outra corja de políticos dos conservadores mais estranhos e mais absurdos que a história do Brasil já teve.
Edu, estás sin...
Eduardo is muted. Okay, here we go. That was the conference by Princesa Ricardo entitled Beware of this bizarre person. It's about the nonsense behind the use of hatred as a political weapon, and it's the hate toward arts and universe. That piece was presented in the first weekend of July, and it will be uploaded in the social networks of Antic Teatre. Princesa Ricardo is here with us, joining us in this Zoom meeting today, so I don't want to comment any more details because he will do it himself. Let's move on to the second piece, second video, please.
Tenho também um segundo nome. Quando nasci, era necessário ter um nome branco. Não uso. Esse foi meu primeiro embate. A luta pelo meu próprio nome. Existem 305 etnias, 274 dialetos e cerca de 900 mil indígenas no Brasil. Em português, toda essa diversidade foi resumida em uma só palavra: índio. Para os brancos, não importa se temos embates, crenças, rituais e dialetos diferentes. Para eles somos todos iguais. Essa é uma das tentativas de apagar a nossa existência. Mas eu sou Guajajara. Por isso eu decidi começar contando a minha história. Nasci na aldeia Colônia, na reserva indígena Cana Brava, no Maranhão, região nordeste do Brasil.
What we just saw, it's the initial fragment of this letter for the defense of the forest guardians by the actress Vajajara that we also broadcast in the first weekend. She talks about what it means to be an indigenous in Brazil today, and she talks about the Indians, the Wajajara Indians that defend, protect the remains of the virgin Amazon forest in the state of, it's actually a pre-Amazon state, and the guardians of the forest defend the logging activities, the territory from the logging activities, the mine sacking, and the fires. And after the Bolsonaro's arrival, the situation has become worse. In the past few months, 5 Wajajaras, 5 guardians, 5 of these forest guards have been murdered very, very recently. And then the piece, well, digs deep into this topic. It's very beautiful. It's recorded in her own home. It's 15-minute long, and I really feel moved every time I watch it, even if it's just a little piece. Okay, third fragment now by Alice Ripoll.
Quanto mais Bolsonaro retira o Estado com o neoliberalismo, mais os poderes paralelos penetram na sociedade, criando um perigoso país regrado por milicianos, como os assassinos de Marielle, famílias ricas armadas e pastores protestantes. E a nossa república, que já era tão novinha, tão frágil, que enfrentou 20 anos de ditadura militar, que já não tinha legado nenhum para oferecer para tantas gerações de descendentes de escravos da ex-colônia. Como conversar sobre a onda fascista de Bolsonaro com os dançarinos do meu grupo?
Esse último ano novo que minha mãe foi passar o ano novo em Copacabana comigo, né? Que eu achei muito louco que ela falou assim, nossa, estou realizando um sonho hoje. E aí eu comecei a discutir com ele, falei, cara, eu não lembro de ter ouvido minha mãe falar a palavra sonho na minha vida. Se não ser sonho de dormir, né? Sonho de projeção, né? Foi uma geração passada que não teve tempo para sonhar e para criar, né?
Não seria mais coerente falarmos sobre reparação histórica? Sobre pagamentos de dívidas de séculos de trabalho não remunerado na escravidão?
Y ahora vuelvo a coger la palabra y,
Okay, let
y si nos
me
podéis poner,
take the floor again, if I may.
hablar. No, perdón, que vamos a hablar. Sí.
I
Sí,
didn't
perdón, que me he
introduce
adelantado.
Alice's work.
Puedes seguir,
Yes, sorry, I jumped in too quickly, maybe. Okay, we have just seen a fragment of Alice's work devised on purpose for Brazil Hijacked. It's about questions and answers and scars, and it's a conversation between herself and the members of the company she directs, the Grec company, and she accompanies these words with images from Acordo, one of her pieces discussing the police violence that's been aggravated since the arrival of the Bolsonaros in power. That piece should have premiered in the Grec Festival if it weren't for the pandemic. It's a fight against those citizens in Brazil. Let me give you a few figures. 2019, last year, 2,500 people died because of police violence. 2,500 people dead, killed as a result of police violence, and that is only in the state of Rio de Janeiro, with 16 million inhabitants. This year, same year, last year in Spain, 3 times as much inhabitants, only eight people died. I mean, I say only, but I'm comparing 8 against 2,500 in the state of Rio de Janeiro, and only because of police violence. Alice is here with us, so she will no doubt tell us more about this work and about the details that
Sí,
she
ahora
wants
vamos
to
ya
share
con
with
el
us.
cuarto
Isabel,
vídeo
back to
de
you.
Con
Yes,
Tolosa.
the 4th video, please, if David is so kind. Among all the cities created by Ford, there's one that stands out, Fordland. But that story, well, it's best if Walt Disney himself tells us.
Ford's rubber development on the Tapajos River is an enterprise of historic proportion. Here, 2 million acres of jungle are being converted into a highly modernized plantation. Deep in the wilderness, this model community is self-sufficient in every detail. It has its own powerhouse, electric lighting, a telephone system, its own machine shop completely equipped with modern tools. There's a laboratory for processing rubber, an ice plant, and a fire department. Ford has scoured the far corners of the Amazon as well as Asia for selected stock and uses it to build his own super rubber trees. Scientific care, the watchword of the plantation, is extended to the human element too. Consistent with this policy, the 5,000 inhabitants are provided with every means of making life in the jungle healthy, happy, and comfortable. Families living on the plantation are highly appreciative of the advantages offered. Their children are given every opportunity to develop into healthy, happy individuals. The best is none too good, for these are the future conquerors of the Amazon.
Entonces, este era un trecho de las píldoras de Capitalismo para Dummies, que es el nombre de las videocreaciones de Chalo Toloza y Laida Azcona, que van a ilustrar sus obras, y este en concreto que habla de Fordlandia, esta ciudad gigante que Ford hizo en medio del Amazonas, que ha sido publicidad para la obra que va a estrenar estos días en Grec Teatro Amazon. Bueno, nuestra idea original era que presentasen en Brasil secuestrado la versión
would have presented under the umbrella of Brazil hijacked, the most informal version of this Amazon theater. They usually are very close to the public, close to the audience, so they can share with the audience all the materials that they gather, huge amount of material that they gather together when they prepare their work. But of course, this has not been possible, unfortunately. So we've joined together all these little pills, capitalism pills, and we will broadcast this next Saturday, July 18th. But yes, they will continue working on their version and developing it, so we can see it someday in the future. Next video, please, by Renata.
Ô, ô, tá indo aonde? Tô falando com você, moleque.
Esto es un trecho del corto de Renata Martins, la realizadora brasileña Renata Martins, que se llama Sinalas y que es parte de la selección de vídeos que hemos realizado para Brasil Secuestrado en colaboración con la Asamblea de Mujeres Brasileñas de Barcelona. Y que estará siendo retransmitida este próximo sábado a las 7 junto con otros dos en torno de la figura y del legado de Marielle Franco. Es un corto que también, como es en el caso de Alice, habla de la violencia policial, pero en este caso es la violencia policial dirigida a los niños y a los adolescentes. Bueno, en este sentido, y si seguimos con la casuística de Río de Janeiro, en el año pasado fueron más de 100 niños que murieron, 100 niños y adolescentes que murieron a causa de la intervención policial, y la mayoría de ellos, como protagonista de esta historia, son niños negros. También quisimos traer a Brasil Secuestrado, además de las conferencias performáticas y las películas, quisimos traer un laboratorio, que es el laboratorio de los sueños pandémicos, que es un espacio de investigación y también de práctica, es un espacio de arte y de ciencia, coordinado por varios artistas y activistas brasileños, en donde ellos trabajan con los sueños y también desarrollan técnicas o estrategias de lo que ellos llaman antisecuestro de futuros. Y bueno, es de ahí, a partir de un texto que ellos produjeron, que vino el nombre de Brasil Secuestrado, y los quisimos también tener como parte de la programación. Y ahí sigue ahora un pequeño teaser que han realizado para esta ocasión.
Now a small teaser that they have prepared for the occasion. So we start with a group of people, and we have a field of communication among things. David Koppenauer, a shaman from Brazil, he said, people dream out of themselves, and we're interested in working with animals, specters, images, ghosts, dead people. We will see where people can go and share and feed themselves out of the dreams of other peoples. They can create their own narration, their own stories. The idea was to show a cartography of dreams, taking into account semantic interconnections.
Y ahora, bueno, nos gustaría también contaros que el proyecto Brasil Secuestrado está presente en otros contextos durante el mes de agosto, y Edu igual nos hablas tú un poquito de
the
esto.
month of August. I don't know whether, Edu, you want to talk a little bit more about that, elaborate a little bit more on this. Brazil Hijacked is also present in other contexts along the month of August, as Isa was saying. Labatin in Geneva is confirmed. Berlin, also Zurich is confirmed, and there will be ephemeral presentations online or just projections for the audience present in the theater. And precisely today, July 9th, in the Festival of Cité in Lausanne, Brasil Hijacked is presenting a theater version live, starting at 8:30 p.m. If you are in Lausanne now, if someone listening to us is in Lausanne, they can go and see the piece at 8:30 p.m. There will be a live performance by Criollo Doido, Luis de Abreu, choreographer,
with an incredible dancer that lives in Paris. And this presentation of this very well-known piece will last for 20 minutes, and we will see two creations of Brazil Hijack that will be shown there. Sahi Wajajara, and also a second one, they will be doing a kind of premiere or preview, and afterwards there will be a debate between Callisto and Brazilian artists living in Paris. Artists that have suffered a lot of censorship and different activists, which are really very powerful. O Samba is one of the most important pieces of our history, talking about racism and the impact in the Black body, starting out of Samba, Carnival, and erotism. And let's see a little bit of this piece now with Callisto.
Vale. Esta canción que estaba sonando es una canción cantada.
So this song is sung by Olga Suarez and was telling precisely that the cheapest flesh in the market is the black flesh. So the project will be keeping ongoing on the following months, adapting to new formats with new pieces, combining live presence with online virtual shows. And from here, I would like to invite you to see the pieces and to show also in your context this work. And hopefully, after the pandemic, we will be able to show live these performatic pieces. And we invite you also to go beyond and to start working on new pieces that can really make the work of activists better known. Brazilian artists and art in general is in a kind of emergency state. These pieces were original pieces that can be shown, and I really think that I have said everything I wanted to say, so I give the floor now to Ricardo and Alice, so that they can talk a little bit about their pieces, and we will start afterwards the debate. Ricardo, you have the floor. Hello, good morning, good afternoon. My name is Princesa Ricardo Marinella. And all my beauty is here. This is the beauty of the Princess Ricardo Marinelli. And I use this beauty to convince you that Brazil is hijacked. I live in a city south of Brazil. Curitiba is the name of the city. And no kidding, Really, our reality is awful. We are hijacked, kidnapped, in prison from a cognitive point of view, from a political point of view, in all the cities, in all the areas, all over the country. That is, in fact, a continent, as you know, a country controlled by fundamentalists, ignorant people, shaming people. It couldn't be worse. And with all this situation, lately, on the last years, a kind of zombie army, nationalist zombie army was created, and they are there following with any restriction whatsoever all the wishes of the leaders, political leaders, which are awful characters of a very bad play, but very, very bad plays. It could be kind of anecdote. It's like, it's shameful, really. One could think it's a joke, but it's not joke at all. It has been very difficult to live through this. It has been impossible to create any kind of art. In fact, it's a war. It's a war that we are losing, and losing very badly every day, every day, every day. They have a new victory for this project and a failure for us, a defeat for us. So the project is growing. The project is growing like, I don't know, like a plant without any kind of control. And I will show you and share my screen with you in order to show some images of my work, of what I try to do. I will show you, and I use a name which is very beautiful in Brazilian, but it's awful in any other language. I use it, and you can program this for your own festivals. This is something that we are going to sell. It's a title which is very difficult to translate. But when a proposal was made to me to make something for Brazil hijacked, it was very, very difficult to me. It took me some time, quite a lot of time, in order to find out a creative strategy that seemed fair to me, good to me, which did not stay as something very superficial, the superficiality of the speech. Because what can we say about the atrocities we're living here? What can we say about these in a very deep way, radical way, so that it can be meaningful to convey to the audience, to make things move? At a certain point, nothing had any sense. However, in the middle of the process, I thought that everything that is happening came over as if nothing was happening. Every movement, every fascist victory, every stolen right, every one of the 40 years of democracy that are now just on a rubbish. This all generates violence, frustration, disappointment. Violence is growing, and violence just becomes natural. Out of the blue, everything just is something natural. And lately, despite all the difficulties, Me and many people have been working with all our energy, creative energy, in order to make it possible for the critical mass of the country to get out there and to work, because it's really a must. We are in an emergency state. There is a lack of movement. And this has been an enormous challenge for every one of us, including myself, because it's like if we were really paralyzed. We were in a kind of palsy. And that is why Brazil hijacked is such an important proposal, because it helps us to be political beings and to get in touch with other realities, with other contexts. I really believe that in Brazil we have a huge responsibility. However, we know also, we know that this is not a local problem. I mean, fascism is growing all over the place, not only here. So this is a global phenomenon, worldwide phenomenon. Therefore, this is a problem, a huge problem for all of us. Ignoring leaders as the ones that we have and zombie armies that we are seeing, they exist and they are developing everywhere. This is a problem for all of us. And maybe I can now stop sharing this image and going back in a very serious way to the beginning. This program, Brazil Hijacked, is a huge opportunity for us to address the world and to say in capital letters, in very huge capital letters, we are fucked. We have difficult problems. And so we hope this will become a very well-known project and not only our project. Be as it may, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be here talking, showing my work. Thank you, Greg, Isa, and thank you, all of you. I really hope, I really wish that very soon we will be together, we will be able to gather together to show the piece live. And I leave it there. I'm at your disposal if you have any questions. So
Gracias,
kisses,
Ricardo.
kisses from
Y
Brazil.
ahora, Alice, eres tú ahora.
It's your turn now, Alice.
Hello, I will speak in English. Sorry, because my Spanish it's not that good. I can understand, but for speak it's better English for me. So if you change the translator in the Zoom, well, I think maybe it's better than Edu. Can you show first another extract from the video, and then I will talk a bit more about. Thank you.
Hola, Eduardo, perdona, ¿no puedes hacer una pantalla completa para compartirlo?
You cannot make a full screen.
Si no, Eduardo, lo puedes compartir, aunque sea sin pantalla completa, y lo veremos igualmente bien.
Otherwise, we can share it without having full screen and we will see it properly.
Edu, ¿estás sin el micrófono quizás?
Is the mic off, maybe, Edu?
No,
Voy a
Eduardo.
intentar una vez más, perdón.
Sí, pero Eduardo,
I will try once again. But Eduardo, when you share the screen, you will see that you have a message that allows you to share the computer audio. You have to click there, otherwise it won't work.
¿No? No está marchando.
Agora está bien, Eduardo.
Em 2016, eu fui convidada para fazer uma criação para a mostra Que Legado. Eu deveria responder o que teria ficado como legado para o Rio de Janeiro após eventos que supostamente trariam melhorias para a cidade, a Copa do Mundo e as Olimpíadas. Na época, eu senti uma certa vergonha de repassar essa pergunta para os intérpretes da companhia REC, que eu dirijo. Desde que nasceram, eles recebem como legado da sua cidade a violência policial. E não chegam na favela serviços básicos, ensino de qualidade, segurança, hospitais, transporte público e oportunidades. Criamos então a performance Acordo. Não era uma resposta, mas a problematização da pergunta. Agora, desafiada a falar sobre o crescimento do fascismo no Brasil, liderado por Bolsonaro, eu me vejo em um lugar semelhante. Eu sempre desconfiei de ter uma pergunta antes de buscar uma resposta. Eu acho que as perguntas induzem demais o que se vai responder.
Fazer uma pergunta sobre racismo para uma pessoa preta que às vezes não está instrumentalizada nesse sentido que a gente acredita de instrumentalização, de conseguir construir discurso, pode ser muito violento. Às vezes pode ser tão opressor quanto o racismo, né? Quando se exige uma fala de alguém dentro de um discurso, né? Pensar que o próprio silêncio daquela pessoa, a própria falta de vontade de querer estar ali, já é uma demonstração também da linguagem dela, que ela não se sente confortável naquele espaço que normalmente as pessoas criaram, né?
Okay, thank you, Edu. So, well, I am Alice. I am a choreographer based in Rio, where I run 2 dance companies, and for different reasons, they are both composed by Black dancers that live in favelas from Rio. And the performance that I would present in Grec Festival was this last performance for this group, REC, called Acordo. And because of the pandemic, we could not travel, and then the festival decided to invite me to this context of Kidnapped Brazil. And so in some way, this invitation to talk about Brazil now, in this terrible time that we're facing with Bolsonaro and fascism growing, it reminded me of the creation of this performance Acordo, where I was invited from a festival here in Rio to talk about the legacy of these big events such as Olympics and World Cup, the legacy for the city. And in somehow, in this relation that I have with the dancers who are Black, poor, and grow in favelas from Rio with so many problems since they're born, it obligates me to always look backwards. So in this video that I did in this period during the pandemic, without being able to leave my apartment, and also the dancers, I used extracts of talks that I have with the dancers about this subject. And I tell some embarrassing situations that I've been through because of our class difference, together with some images of the performance Acordo that I presented a lot in Europe, this performance. And as Eduardo told a bit, it's a performance, well, they are dressed as they were factory workers, and they start resting and a lot of things happen. They dance, they involve the audience, and at some point they start to exchange the audience's belongs, first between them, and then they get some of the belongs with them. And then in the end, they goes to the wall in this position as if they would be checked by police. And then the audience has to search them if they want their belongs. So in this performance refers to police violence, because this situation of being checked by the police is very common here in Rio, in Brazil, if you're Black, if you enter or leave the favela, about racism. And also we question the concept of private propriety and who steals from whom in this kind of situation. And that the fact that some people are in a safe distance from crime and chaos, but this order is maintained by a lot of oppression and intimidation, and which are fascist order. It's a fascist order that we always lived here. So I developed this video as a reflection on the questions and demands that I usually have from festivals, and based on the dancers' reality and their perspective, which is a reality of the majority of Brazilians, and thinking on the fact that our problems started always a long time ago, and that we have to look for our history to think of our present. So this is the questions that I do in the video. And just to picture a bit our moment now, I mean, this group, HEC, it started in 2009. And since the beginning of this year, we have been preparing a new piece called Lavagem, that investigates also a similar subject. It's about the cleaning act, the housemaid, the related to racism in Brazil and the difficulties of social mobility. And because of the pandemic, we had to stop the process. The premiere was postponed for next year, and this new piece was a kind of prophetic in somehow, because it's all about water, soap, foam, masks, and washing. And now in this period that we are in confinement, all of the dancers and me in our houses, we cannot live here in Brazil. The virus is completely not under control. So we are working in these video projects as this one that Grec invited us. I think that this is all, yeah. Thank you.
Gracias, Alice. Yo quería deciros a los dos.
Thank you, Alice. I would like to share with both of you that it's really moving for me. I've followed your path since the beginning. I introduced the first work by Alice, one of the first things that Ricardo did as well, by the doors of, what was that theater? Carlos Gomez, exactly, in Rio. That was ages ago, 15 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. So I did that as well. So it's very beautiful to see how mature your work has become and how important it is what you're doing for the Brazilian culture right now. Really, really very moved. We don't have much time, do we, Isabel? We have 5 minutes left or 10
No sé, eso
tops?
creo que
Actually,
son
I don't know.
10,
I'm not
15
quite
minutos,
sure.
pero no estoy segura.
10,
Quizás
15, I
Salvador
should
nos
say.
puede
Maybe
decir
Salvador can help us. 7 to 10
alguna
minutes you
pregunta,
have
¿no?
left. Okay, maybe we can address the questions. Yes, it's a good moment maybe to check whether there
Para
are
ver si
questions by
alguien
the
tiene alguna
audience.
pregunta.
Otherwise, Eduardo says, I can ask myself. Well, so far, no questions in the chat box. Feel free to do so, and we will convey them to the speakers either in English or Spanish. You can write in English or in Spanish. Okay, so I don't know. What could I ask? Maybe I would like to ask you what you think of the immediate future. What does it look like for artists in Brazil right now with this sort of voluntary but never-ending lockdown period? So what is it like to produce plays? When is this going to end? When will this palsy come to an end? When will this hold come to an end? And of course, the government is not helping at all. How do you guys think you're going to survive against this backdrop? That would be my question. Who would like to answer, Ricardo or Alice?
Va, Ricardo. Comienza igual
Ricardo,
tú.
maybe you can start.
Quita el micrófono primero.
Yes. Okay. So it's a situation that we have to fight day after day. For people who maybe don't know, it's been 4 months now, okay? It's been 4 months already with nothing, absolutely nothing. And as Alice said, nothing is controlled. Well, the virus here is clearly out of control. Our curve is going up, and there's still no hope, no ray of hope in the future. At the end of the tunnel, there was a law passed, but very recently, obliging the people to use the masks. The municipalities, the states want to use the mask, yet the government is not in accordance. So we are far away from getting out of this situation and from solving the virus crisis. I am now collaborating with an institution, so I do have the possibility to have a salary. So I'm privileged in this sense, but the huge bulk of artists, all of them, they're living unprecedented situations. This has never happened before here. There's there is a project of bill that might be passed concerning cultural policies, and we don't know when this is going to be approved and what the conditions will be, because the first provisions, let's say, that were drafted in trying to respond to the state of emergency affecting artists in this case, were not very user friendly, let's say, and the money wasn't flowing. So the situation is difficult, very difficult. There are networks that are being born in parallel, artists helping other artists themselves, and with the most basic things, because I'm speaking of people who don't have lighting at home, and they don't have access to food. I'm not just saying beginners, but artists with a long-standing expertise, with a background. They are undergoing severe precarious situations. So I cannot share much about the perspective. I don't know much about the future, but Alice maybe can help us. I don't know what to say about the future.
Ricardo explained it very well, the situation here. I just would like to complement that this kind of project as Brasil Sequestrado and the partners that I have in Europe, this is what is maintained our groups now. The project that we have in co-production, but the artists that don't have this kind of opportunity here, which is the big majority, they are in a very difficult situation. So when you put this light under for our situation and also invite us to do this kind of projects such as videos and talks and this kind of things, it's something really important and helpful for artists here in Brazil.
Ok, creo que estamos llegando ya casi al final. Muchísimas gracias.
Great. We're reaching the end of our session. Thank you, Alice. I believe there is a question from Marta. Question by Marta Oliveras, and that will be the end and the wrapping up of the session. Just from me, once again, I would like to urge you to think in solidarity terms. And it's not just Brazil that's suffering from this. All our Latin American colleagues are living terrible conditions. It's even worse in Brazil because of fascism. But here in Europe, we need to think about this and see how to articulate solidarity actions that can help from here. Thank you. Marta, you wanted to take the floor. I believe Marta is muted. Can you hear me now? Yes.
Sí, ahora sí.
We can hear you loud and clear. Yes, following on along Eduardo's lines and seeing the situation from afar, what comes to mind is just to ask, what can we do? What can we do from Europe? Because it's a severe situation, and here our paradigm is different. Maybe 3 months down the line, we will be in lockdown again. Who knows? Probably. But this solidarity that we always call upon, it's important to use it as a motto. Of course, it's not a buzzword, but again, what can we do for you guys who are there? What can we do from Europe? Help us, tell us. I think that right now, well, the best thing we can do is to support creation from home. We need to support the artists so that they can continue with their creations. I know projects like this one, Brazil Hijacked. We could invite many more artists and have them join the project so that they can work on their creations as well. We need to accompany the needs of the different artists, and we need to, I don't know how, but hack our quotes and our budgets to support the creativity in Latin America.
Justamente habíamos pensado decir, bueno, tenemos un presupuesto ajustadito, ¿cómo le sacamos la mayor partida posible, ¿no? Y ahí pensamos también en un formato que es el de las conferencias performáticas, que son obras cortas que, como han hecho los artistas, las pueden adaptar más fácilmente en este contexto de distanciamiento social, que ha complicado mucho la
shown that it was possible because of the social distancing. Of course, co-production is not easy, but in the end, it has worked. As you saw, as Alice just said, inviting them to talks that matters for them, just remembering them and citing them from our workplaces, and of course, reporting the institutions is also helpful, I believe.
Ampliando el eco y la voz de lo que está pasando en Brasil. O sea, Brasil es una guerra, como ya hemos hablado, no es que los artistas estén mal, no estén recibiendo subsidios, es que los artistas son algo, son target, uno de los targets principales de una guerra cultural que está habiendo a nivel mundial. O sea, van a destruir las políticas culturales que se han hecho en las últimas décadas, que han sido, si conocéis un poco Brasil
past. I don't know if you're familiar with Brazil, but Brazil in the past few decades became one of the most highly creative contexts in terms of creative thinking, in terms of performing arts, presence of the performing arts in the universities. That was powerful. One of the most impressive contexts in Brazil. We had a lot to learn from them. Well, in months, we're seeing how this is being destroyed, but completely destroyed. So that's the urgency and the emergency, and that's why the call, and that's why we urge you to try to do something if you can. Well, the Grec festival has done a lot, and others, of course, but you've taken such an important leap here. The Swiss are supporting this because they're replicating this, and hopefully this program will have continuity and many more to come, because we're so much in need, so much in need.
Yeah, but I'm out of time right now, so.
Yeah, no, just because she asked something about in a very objective way. I left my email in this conversation because I'm in contact with a lot of institutions here that needs objective help. So if you want to know something more direct, I leave my email that I can put you in contact with people here. Okay.
Pues muchas gracias a todos. Muchas gracias, Eduardo, Alice.
Well, thank you all. Thanks, Eduardo, Semo, Alice, Isabel, Ricardo. Thank you all very much for your explanations, and thanks for the debate. And without any further ado, we'll start with the 2021 Grec Festival Artistic Project presentations. Thank you.
France, 15th century, Park of Ambroise, King Louis XVI.
Parque de Ambroise. Una caza terrible.
There is a thrill of hunting when the prey is a human, equally intelligent and cunning as yourself. What does it mean to be a human being? What if one day you were suddenly told that you are no longer a human being, like in the Matrix? What would you be then? Reality is no longer as you thought it was. You have lost your charter of humanity, which is something different from your credit card. Are there human beings who are subhumans or inhumans? We can write lists like Pol Pot did, excluded for wearing glasses, or for reading, for being young, for being old, dark or blonde, tall or short. Or like Shakespearean heroes, they fall because of their virtues, like Hernán Cortés, Malinche or Montezuma. They all believed themselves to be instruments of God, just as we believed ourselves instruments of progress. They had big dreams. Do you have big dreams? Or just minor dreams? Keep going, survive, work on this, and that's it. The history of a power is also the history of the struggles to defeat it. Collective protection against interhuman predation relationships must be guaranteed. This should be the vocation of a universal political community. Stop human hunting. What would Spain, Europe, the world be like if Montezuma has conquered Spain in the 16th century? The human being as a prey has always existed. They are concrete historical phenomena in which human beings were harassed, persecuted, captured or besieged, following hunting methods. There are theories about these regular massive practices. Sometimes the prey even unite and become hunters. Who would you take out of the human race? You have time to think about it. You have time to think about it.
Hola, buenas tardes, buenos días. Bueno, no puedo, me gustaría empezar dando un abrazo muy fuerte a nuestros amigos de Brasil, los he visto por ahí, Celso, Pedro, Wesley, Marcia, todos los que estáis aquí que conozco y que no, pues realmente esta sesión ha sido muy impresionante. Evidentemente ya conocía los contenidos, pero verlos aquí me ha emocionado mucho y bueno, espero que también sigáis con nosotros lo que está pasando en Brasil y que sigamos conectados para seguir trabajando juntos. Tengo muchas ganas de abrazaros y ojalá podamos hacer más cosas juntos. Aunque sea de momento online, pero seguiremos. Show must go on, ¿verdad? Decimos así. Pues como el show must go on, queríamos presentar también algunos proyectos que estamos pensando para el Festival Grec del año próximo. Evidentemente pues, son proyectos que todavía están en fase inicial, en fase de creación, en fase de pensamiento, pero nos gusta también hablar con los artistas cuando están en esta fase inicial y hemos hecho una pequeña selección de proyectos que vamos a producir con el Festival Grec, que vamos a presentar en el Grec 21. Vamos a pensar que hay un futuro para todos, vamos a pensar que podemos ir haciendo nuestro trabajo de apoyar a los artistas, de hacer llegar el arte a la gente. Arte que al final significa ideas, que significa transmisión de conocimiento, que significa transmisión de un conocimiento del mundo y de valores éticos. Por lo tanto, vamos a seguir trabajando en nuestro día a día y a una pequeñísima introducción. La sesión ahora mismo van a ser 6 proyectos que se van a presentar. La sesión será una estructura similar. Os cuento un poco los 6 proyectos, después cada proyecto tendrá primero un pequeño vídeo. Every project will show a very small video, then an explanation by the artist. Le hemos llamado café con, o sea, no hay café, pero podemos hablar con los artistas y hacer preguntas también sobre estos proyectos si tenéis ganas y si queréis más comentarios. Son 6 proyectos que hemos seleccionado también un poco por su diversidad. Nosotros como festival nos gusta esta idea también de un retrato de lo que está pasando. En nuestro caso son proyectos de artistas que viven en Barcelona, o sea, algunos viven de otros lugares, pero viven en Barcelona. Y básicamente también son 6 proyectos diferentes. En primer lugar, Antigua y Barbuda nos presentará un proyecto que es un espectáculo de calle, un gran gorila que se va a pasear por la ciudad de Barcelona. Veréis un poco también que hay una línea común. El año próximo el Festival Grec tratará el tema del postcolonialismo. Será un tema principal que atravesará el Festival Grec. Quizás ese diálogo entre el Atlántico, entre África y América. En cualquier caso tenemos un gorila paseando por la ciudad. Después la compañía Ella nos presentará su nueva propuesta de circo. También veréis un pequeño vídeo que tiene un proyecto anterior que me gusta muchísimo y hace años que no hace ninguna producción, por lo tanto van a cerrar una nueva producción de circo. De danza hemos seleccionado el proyecto de Guinader y María Campos, que además forma parte del proyecto Célula apoyado por el Mercado and Maria Campos. They have been they will talk about a very physical project with a lot of movement and a lot of energy. In the 4th place we have the company Petita Malamaluga. This is a piece for babies, Bob Marley for babies. In fact, that's the name of the piece. And then the Las Impossibles, donc the impossibles with a pun there. This is a company dealing with different disciplines, and they will also explain their project with that has to do with food and hunger. And finally, Silvia Fernando, that's the spot that you just saw, and it's in order to give you, the energy to stay till the end of the project. It's a kind of fiction thing, and she will explain that further later on. So very different projects all in all, and I will keep it short. So as I was saying, there will be first in every case, first of all a video, short presentation, and then a small debate. Okay, so let's go for it.
Good afternoon. We are members of Antigua y Barbuda, a theatre company of machines. Thank you for having us. Some of you probably know our trajectory, and you just saw the presentation video of our newest and largest, until date, largest project, The Great Gorilla. The Great Gorilla is a large format street show, a 7 meters high albino gorilla manipulated by 18 people and with live music will appear in the city. It's a fantastic show that will take place during 2 to 4 days in different spots around the cities and with different routes around the city. The Great Gorilla is a pole of attraction, a claim for everyone's curiosity. During the days of the show, the Great Albino Gorilla will discover the city and its inhabitants in a series of events that will make him appear in the most emblematic places of the city. And the dramaturgy of the piece is being developed at the same time as the gorilla machine, as well as the soundtrack, etc. And of course, the intention is to create a piece that will be adaptable for the different needs and infrastructures of each city. So, if anyone has questions?
¿No hay preguntas? ¿Nadie
No questions?
tiene algún interés en saber algún detalle más?
Does anyone want to know any further details?
Yes, I have a question.
Adelante,
Perfecto.
Yes.
And gone.
May I ask something? Yes. My question is about winter in France. Is the show? Are you able to present the show in winter when it's freezing, for example?
Yes, of course. We are creating a piece that is adaptable for the needs and infrastructures of the places where we will go, but also the climate.
Okay, because our festival is in Reims, France, in winter, so I was wondering about it.
Perfect. It's not a problem, not at all.
Quizás, no sé si me escucháis, quizás está bien comentar un poco que
Can you hear me? Maybe we could say that the company has been traveling and perform all over the place.
touring around the world with other projects like the dancer or like the horse. So you have other projects and you have been touring a lot since many, many years. So it's a company with lots of experience about touring.
¿Alguna pregunta más?
Any further questions? Please remember that you can also ask the questions through the chat and we can read them aloud. If there are no further questions, we will give the floor to the next project. So we have the EIA project and we go for the video first.
Fabrizio?
Hello. Hola.
Fabrizio, are you there? Hello.
I'm the co-founder and co-artistic director of Compagnia del Circo EIA. I am really happy to be here to talk about our upcoming project Nuye. We all are living now in a moment very special and really uncertain, and it's beautiful to have this opportunity to look at the future with the hope, with the positivism. So we would like to thank Grec Festival and Grec Pro to organize this meeting and to give us this chance. We are celebrating this year the 10th anniversary of Compagnia del Circo EIA, and we will do this like jumping up in this new adventure. We always focus the creation into one kind of human relationship. That's why we call what we do human circus. We explore family relationships with our first show, Capas, then individuality and group relationship with the Intarsi. That was the show that Cesc mentioned about. With Espera, the relationship between actor and spectator. And for this new show, we are going to explore the couple relationship, / duo / partner. And I say it this way because when we pronounce the word couple, we immediately connect with the romantic couple. But we are surrounded by different couple relationship in our jobs, in our family, and our aim is to explore all this different kind of couple relationship that we have in our lives, and what are the points in common that we can see in all of them. We choose the couple relationship because it's the closest one that we have. We, as a circus artist, we all share the same discipline, which is acrobatics in pair and hand-to-hand. And it's we are in touch all the time, physically, but we also are dealing constantly with the emotion and the human states of another person. And we are fascinated by the magic that provokes this encounter and the work that takes to keep going into a couple relationship during the years. So we choose three circus couples, 2 girls, 2 guys, and 1 girl and 1 guy that will be on stage. And the 3 couples are from new generation of circus artists, and it's great because they are bringing lots of energy and new ways of thinking about this theme. Also because we are living in a moment in the society where many things are questioned about couple relationship, about binarism, about gender, and we want to bring all these concepts in this discussion into our work, with a lot of humor, with a lot of rhythm, with technique, of course. And now we are in the really early stage of the process. We start in February, then we have to stop, obviously, and we just are finishing our first residency with the full team. The show will be released next year in Grec Festival 2021 in July. And we are, it will be an international co-production because between Grec, Mercat de las Flors, and Teatro Oficina in Portugal, Théâtre de Vénissieux, and Pont des Arts de Cesson-Sévigné in France, among other partners. And we still are looking for co-productions and pre-sales, and also for 2 periods of residency here in Catalonia, possibly, or south of France, in November 2020 and February 21. Voila, it's really short time, 3 minutes to talk about 1.5-year project. But yes, now it's time to question. And also, if you want to set up a meeting after this session, I'll be glad for it. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Fabrizio. ¿Hay alguna pregunta?
Thank you very much, Fabrizio. Any questions, any doubts? Something you would like Fabrizio to elaborate on? Marta? Yes, we can hear you now. Oh, we lost Marta again. Terribly sorry, her microphone is muted. Can you hear me now? Yes, yes. Oh, sorry. Fabrizio, I was asking a question in the chat box because from now to the premiere, anything else you need for the production? Because there's a long way ahead. You need more residencies. Are you looking out for venues? Tell us what you would need or you might need from us so that we can sustain and maintain this project until July next year.
Sorry, in English.
Let me switch to English again.
The residency part, we need these 2 periods, okay? The rest of the residency is quite settled, but we have a whole, the second part of November, 16th November to 5th December, and we need a place, and then for all the month of February 2021, okay? And as I say, we are looking for residency here in Catalonia, possible, or south of France, something near, or in the rest of Spain, but not really far, because in this uncertainty and also for some ethical region, we would like to have like our creation locally. Even if there are some residency that are outside of Spain, we will go to Italy and to probably in Belgium, in Erpelt. So yes, we try to keep this because we don't know a lot about the future, and the aim, even if the official premiere will be in Grec, we are looking for some previews, some preestreno here in May, June. Okay, yes, the idea is to start in April to have the full version of the show and start to make some trials with the real audience and then rework all the things that is needed. Yeah. And of course we need money. I mean, co-production and pre-sales.
Pues bien, si no hay ninguna pregunta más.
Great. If there are no further questions for Fabrizio, maybe we can move on. Yes, we will now move on to the next project by Guy, Nader, and Maria Campos.
Maria?
Okay, we found it.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. We are, for those who doesn't know us, we are GNMC. We are known under this abbreviation of Guy Nader and Maria Campos. We have been collaborating together Maria and me since 10 years, more than 10 years actually. We co-create together. And for this new project, which is actually inside the context of Célula 3, a project from Mercat de las Flores, where we are resident artists there actually. And so we have been invited to collaborate inside this context of Célula 3 with our kind of a new creation, which is inside a trilogy, or to represent the trilogy. It's closing the trilogy under the concept of time. So what you just saw actually, it's Time Takes the Time Takes, 2015, which also was premiered in Mercat de las Flores. And then in 2018, we created Set of Sets. So this new project will close the trilogy, and it will be premiered in July 2021. So
for Grec, yeah,
and Grec Festival, of course.
One of the things that we would like to add, actually, it's 9 dancers this time, hopefully, and 2 musicians, because the work is also based on, with live music always, it's based on the idea of time. We are working on a bigger on a bigger project. Is somehow a continuation, as Guy mentioned, of this what we think of a bigger project. With Time Takes, we initiated through the idea of time, through the idea of the pendular movement, so it's swinging. And with Set of Sets, we use the idea of the circularity. So all movements became. It was based mainly on the action of turning, spinning, and orbiting and centrifugal force. And this time we are mainly going for the idea to include the space. So it's also the idea of time in relation more to space, the idea of also of the trajectory. So how can we include one space, the whole the infinity that creates the space, no? The trajectories and paths that we can walk, or that we can suggest by allowing also the space to move, to have different dimensions, different planes. So we are searching mainly on the idea of the composition in that sense.
It's a very, I mean, our work is based on it's a compositional work, and this time the notion of space will allow the composition to spread a little bit more, since it's also we cannot understand time without this correlation between space and time. So we are also working with specifically with a pattern of music and pattern of movement, which will go kind of together. So we are still in a very early phase of exploration, how to articulate the space and how to articulate time also. So actually, we did an audition in March, and now we are still, and we still need to do an audition lab from the 27th of July to the 31st of July. We have this audition lab with the 14 dancers now to choose 9 dancers. So we are still there in this early phases of creating the group of dancers mainly.
We actually needed to do this lab. It had to happen in June, but of course now we had to postpone it, and hopefully it will happen.
¿Hay alguien que quiera hacer alguna pregunta a María y a Guy?
Any questions for Maria and for Guy Nader?
I also wanted to add just one thing, if someone appears, but just wanted to also say that we are working with Plan B, also with Carmen Mener, that today is here.
Okay.
And just if there are questions, very welcome. Otherwise, yeah, we will be available through email or Carmen or.
Okay. Yo os quiero sugerir, porque como que tenéis
I would like to suggest the following. You have a repertoire with many pieces, and I know that you're touring. So maybe it could be nice to have the agenda of your performances on the chat. Maybe, someone can come over and see you.
Most of you, the artists, lots of things are cancelled or postponed.
Yeah.
The next one, anyway, the next one, hopefully, if it happens, I think it will happen. It will be the first show that we have on the 15th of October in Biennale di Venezia with Time Takes, the Time Takes. And Roma Europa with set of sets, but supposedly we don't know if it's gonna happen. It most probably will be cancelled or postponed. So, but I think for sure 15th of October, if you are in Venezia, if you dare to go to Italy, you are welcome. Yes, yeah. I mean,
okay, so
we can write anyway. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so passem a l'altre grup.
Okay, so let's move now to the
Great.
next group.
So we'll move on to the next project. So,
and I would like to present you today Bob Marley for Babies. This will be our new production that will be premiered at Grec 2021. This is the second part of a trilogy that we started 6 years ago with Beatles for Babies. We've been able to tour 14 countries, over 600 performances and almost 100,000 spectators in these 6 years. Music is obviously very important in this production. There will be around 20 songs that will be performed by 5 singers. We will use a lot of different voice techniques. Some of them like jazz improvisation, all the a cappella techniques, live loops. Beatbox. Techniques that we can play and we can offer something a bit different than a pure concert. We wanted to research in Jamaican and other kind of Afro-Caribbean dances mixed together with contemporary dance. And this way we can find very effective, colorful movements that can be performed by the musicians. Our audience always go up on stage. It will be 6x6 square meters where audience will be all around us, 360 degrees around us. And then behind the audience, just slightly behind, there will be a cube, a big cube, where we will have projections all around in the 4 sides of the cube and obviously at the ceiling and on the floor. We would like to interact with the audience through the voice. But we would like to play with them, to invite them to sing, not in a karaoke way. We would like to use several games, techniques with the voice.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Antes de nada.
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you. I would like to thank this great team behind the Grec Festival. It's always a pleasure to work with them. So this is a great, great initiative, and we are thankful for being here. I'm speaking in Spanish because I saw that most of you feel comfortable. But if you speak English, any questions, anything you want to write to me, you can address me in English. I speak fluent English myself. And as an aside, the pandemic, well, the pandemic obliged us to prepare some videos, so I wanted to do a practical presentation of the video. So I took it step by step, and maybe the quality of the video is not ideal, but at least it gives you a first impression about the project. So I just wanted to focus now on the emotional side of the story. If you have other questions, please don't hesitate to ask them afterwards. But let me start with our need, the need that we felt, that we wanted to go back on stage. We've always wanted to specialize in first infancy and families, babies and their families, early childhood. We've always wanted to open the doors to those kinds of audiences that usually are out of what we tend to think of when we say performing arts, and that is a need that we felt. And we are lucky because we tour around a lot. Over 60% of what we do goes international. So that's a great deal of touring. Let me give you an example just to illustrate this. We go quite often to China. We visit China often, and it's interesting to see that parents have changed. In the past, you used to have the mom in front of you with the baby, because as I said, as you saw, the audience is on the stage with us. So little by little, in a short period of time, parents, or rather fathers, are not in the back of the room anymore checking their email, but rather they're sitting in the front rows with their kids as well, kids and wife or whoever. And that is something that we have seen, and we want to share this. And all of the performing arts also adapts to social changes, and in difficult times like the ones we are living through, well, this helps us, obliges us rather, to get up in the morning and work hard. And this is not only an example that I can relate to and refer to concerning China. It affects other parts of the world as well. We need to integrate babies and children and new parents in the performing arts scene. We speak in our pieces about gender, and we talk about political issues in our plays, in our shows. So it's not just pure entertainment. Also, we commit, and that's the way we work. It can be a nice way to vaccinate the child, and not just the child. It's about establishing a dialogue with the adults. So it's a family relationship that promotes dialogue, and we believe that this dialogue is an important, very important vaccine against patriarchism and fascism and racism and you name it. So it might seem very elemental or pure entertainment, but quite humbly, we believe that we can go further than that. Of course, we do entertain. I mean, having fun matters, but for those of you who want to reflect upon some topics, well, you'll see that you'll find this with us. Some families, unfortunately, had never attended a dance show in a theater venue. So seeing a dance piece in an ordinary way, by chance, I should say, nearly, well, that is also that makes us extremely happy, makes us glad, and keeps us motivated to keep on working every single day. Marta, you wanted to interrupt me? Yes, we're running out of time. But since I'm here, unmuted, let me ask you, you have other shows in your portfolio, right? Yes, we tour with one show for 4 and 5 years, so we grow together with the piece, and we need it. We need to interact and get very, very close with every play. Anyone in the Zoom session would like to ask Albert a question? No questions for Albert? Let me just say something, if I may. It's very important for us to work in networks. So we are trying to find other co-productions to work with. We want to work in networks. It's very important for us to work with programmers to actually learn more about the audience and learn more about this direct relationships that we manage to have since the audience is joining us on the stage. Anybody else? No? Okay, let's go to the next one. Les Impossibles.
This is Clara Pella. She's a pianist and composer. She has a very solid career as a musician. When she plays the piano, she's able to move souls of people who are listening to her. This is me, Ariadna Pella. I'm a choreographer and dancer, passionate about movement and creation. My work is closely linked to music and to component of onstage languages. Together, we are Las Impossibles, sisters, creators, and performers. We have a very deep bond that unites us, personally and artistically. We work on the merge of languages, a search that fuses music and movement with other disciplines. That was our path to the construction of our own language. It's also the reason why we continue betting on cooperation and alliances between creators and universes to discover new forms of creation and to take our work farther. The social commitment has made us grow in the need to use art as a speaker of denunciation and social change. In the last years, we started exploring the path to accessibility in the performing arts, a utopia that we would love to make it happen. Now, we prepare a new production in collaboration with Festival Grec and Temporada Alta. In FAM, we will talk about the body and the relationship we have with them. We will compare bodies, mostly the women's, with colonized territories, and we will understand the potential they have as a revolutionary tool if we reappropriate them. Fam means hunger. We will put our bodies together to celebrate they are hungry.
Bueno, buenas tardes a todos y
Well,
todas.
good afternoon to everyone. I hope you hear me well. My name is Mireia and I'm here with Ariadna. She is the artistic director and she will talk a little bit about FAM. As you have seen in the video, we work very much with a mix of scenic languages, performative languages. Ariadna is choreographer and dancer, and Clara is a piano player and composer. And Clara, all along the last year, well, she was awarded the Culture Award. And so this combination, this mix, allows us to make a combination of plays in which music and dance are 50-50, so to say, and the content is very important. We deal with social themes, controversial themes, and accessibility is also an important bet that we have been doing for some years now. So Ariadna will talk now a little bit about the artistic side of FAM, but we would like to thank the Grec Festival, the opportunity of this presentation, and their support and trust on us and our work, and this idea of co-producing FAM for next year, together with Temporada Alta and with the support also of the Sismograph Festival. But we keep on looking for co-producers. We are looking for residents, place of residence in Catalonia or in the rest of Spain. And as for our agenda, we would like to premiere in March, April next year, and we will be doing also residency in Temporada Alta, and in December, hopefully, we will be able to show a little bit the starting point of what we are doing now. So, well, Ari has the floor, and she will sum up a little bit the ideas, and we are open to any kind of questions, of course. Well, in FAM, we have decided to talk about the body as a problem, and body also as a solution, because we believe that our body is really an incredible and revolutionary tool. Up to now, we have been reflecting very much on this subject. We even did a piece, a play, dealing with the theme of sexual violence and focusing on the no, on the limit, on what we did not want to happen, and we want to now re-own our body, re-own our pleasure, and say yes to what we really want. So FAM means hunger, and that's the name of the piece, because we feel hunger as a principle of life, like an engine for life, at the sexual level, life level. And as a company, we have really gone for accessibility. We want to use also sign language as a performative language in order to, give a call to the deaf community. And sign language is another language in our show, in our piece, and so a performing language. So that's all. I don't know whether there are any questions. And FAM, by the way, is hunger in Catalan. Hello, anyone wanting to ask any question, maybe? We can hear someone, but I don't see who. I wanted to ask you what I've been asking to the rest of the group. What about the other pieces? Are they touring? Are they part of your repertoire? We are now touring with Sweet Dog, which is our last big production. It's a play talking about the obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. And we are also touring with Desespera, which is a piece that we're premiering this summer. In fact, it had to be premiered before, but with all the pandemics, it's still there waiting for that. And AUC finished in January. Usually we tour every 2 years. We're a very creative company, so so often we renew and we change and we renew our proposals. Anyone else?
Hello? Ha sortit una imatge.
There was an image that popped up, but I don't know who wanted to say something. Hello? Anyone there? Okay, so then let's move on to Silvia Ferrando company now.
France, 15th century, park of Amboise, King Louis XVI practices a game, a horrible manhunt. He chases a man with dogs to death. There is a thrill of hunting when the prey is a human, equally intelligent and cunning as yourself. What does it mean to be a human being? What if one day you were suddenly told that you are no longer a human being, like in the Matrix? What would you be then? Reality is no longer as you thought it was. You have lost your charter of humanity, which is something different from your credit card. Are there human beings who are subhumans or inhumans? We can write lists like Pol Pot did, excluded for wearing glasses or for reading, for being young, for being old, dark or blonde, tall or short. Or like Shakespearean heroes, they fall because of their virtues. Like Hernán Cortés, Malinche or Montezuma. They all believed themselves to be instruments of God, just as we believed ourselves instruments of progress. They have big dreams. Do you have big dreams? Or just minor dreams? Keep going, survive, work on this, and that's it. The history of a power is also the history of the struggles to defeat it. Collective protection against interhuman predation relationships must be guaranteed. This should be the vocation of a universal political community. Stop human hunting. What would Spain, Europe, the world be like if Montezuma has conquered Spain in the 16th century? The human being as a prey has always existed. They are concrete historical phenomena in which human beings were harassed, persecuted, captured, or besieged, following hunting methods. There are theories about these regular massive practices. Sometimes the prey even unite and become hunters. Who would you take out of the human race? You have time to think about it.
Ella está acostumbrada a cazar vampiros, monstruos que en realidad no existen y no saben qué aspecto tienen los de verdad.
You have time
O sea,
to
quedas
think
una vez.
about it.
Hola, buenas tardes, buenos días.
Hello, good evening, good morning for some of you. My name is Silvia Ferrando. I would like to thank the Grec Festival for having organized this session and all of the team behind Grec Pro. Can you hear me all right? Silvia is asking. Actually, her sound is not very good, so the interpreters will do our best. Hernán Cortés is written with an ñ in Spanish. This is the third part of a trilogy about post-colonialism traces in the current society. So the colonial past in Spain and in Catalonia, the traces of the conquest of America and all the slaves that we had and all the humans that we caught, that we hunted. Louis XIV would organize those hunting of human beings, and now we are seeing also constantly in different ways and adopting different shapes. So we have created this show, Hernán Cortés se escribe con ñ, to see the traces of the colonialistic past. It's hybrid because it's dance, contemporary music, specifically defined and devised for the piece. You've seen an artistic piece. The visual artist that has collaborated with us is great. It starts off being very performative. The audience the audience feels as a second-class citizen, because at some point in time we've all felt that we were inferior compared to somebody else. So maybe at some point in time we believe that we are no longer part of humankind. The lists were mentioned in the video: Pol Pot and the list, excluded for wearing glasses, etc. So who would you remove? Who would you exclude from humankind? That is the question at the end of the video. Who would you decide he or she'd rather not exist anymore? We've been rehearsing for 2 or 3 months. It's important to say that this third show, as part of the trilogy, combines different generations. The intergenerational contact is very important. Seeing on the stage people belonging to different generations is key, because of course the dialogue becomes paramount and very important. We've seen that this exclusion in humankind has affected the children and the elderly. We've seen this during the pandemic. So the elderly suddenly don't, they're not part of humanity anymore, and the children, they need to be locked, or what. So this is all done in a very performative manner. Hernan Cortes, as the great character that he was, great employer with slaves, but that was the times. With Malinche, this controversial character, so much in fashion, with the gender theories that Chicanas in the United States acclaim her, but Malinche in Mexico still means traitor. And her family gave her away as a slave to Hernan Cortes, and then the Mexicans considered that she had been that she had been a traitor. And as Cesc was saying, there's this dystopia, utopia, we don't know anymore. The question is, what if? What would have happened if Moctezuma had conquered Spain and Europe in the 16th century? What would be our life like? Moctezuma had a city that was far advanced compared to other European cities at the time, and based on this idea and this premise, new narratives self-develop. So that it was a very quick glimpse about this play, and that's as much as I say for now, unless there are questions, Marta, or do you want me to elaborate on something in particular, Marta? I'll be delighted to, if that's the case. Let's see, any curiosities you would like to ask Sylvia? Those of us who know you, we know you like to work with adolescents and teenagers, so maybe you can tell us about other experiences that you've had with them. Yes, I'm used. Adolescents and adults, because adolescence actually reaches the 20s, 20 something or more. I don't know exactly how far it goes. But yes, I do work with people in their 20s. And right now, for this colonialism piece, I thought it was important to combine this generation with whom I've worked for 2 months to create part of the piece, and then mix it with other generations, because other generations have a lot to say, as I mentioned before, and that comes from before. We had discussed this with Cesc before the pandemic. The intergenerational work I thought was important to put on stage, because otherwise each generation sort of owns their own independent language, and I think it's important for people aged 20 to be on stage, very important, but also those aged 50 or more, and to have a dialogue and see what language they have in common, because otherwise, with the networks, with the social networks, the way in which we communicate and use technology, this has changed so much, but there's a magic past to be valued. So as Marta said, yes, I do work with different disciplines and different ages, and now with this third piece, I would like to add, as I had done otherwise in the past, other generations. So yeah, sometimes the pieces were born with very young people, and then they've been shown in different parts of the world. And actually, the tour has taken years. The first part of the trilogy had to do with Francoism, echoes from the Franco times, and it's about the corpse. And now, after 40 years, it's been it's been moved. So it's the context has changed a little. Then we have another piece about the solutions that the government uses to take people out from the streets. And now with the pandemic, it sort of became a bit weird to talk about that. But well, Marta, you know about those pieces, and some of the audience here already knows about this as well. Thank you, Silvia. Oh yeah, I wanted to add something else. There's co-production from the Grec festival, so we would like to have more co-productions. We've been, well, stagnant for 2 months, and then in September we'll retake all of this. It'll be a long trip, hopefully. So let's try to find more co-productions beyond the Grec 2021. Thank you. No, thank you.